Hi there, this is John Paulus. You're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet. On this episode, we're going to talk about knowing when you act different. So stick around for Worksheet 12. What if I told you that in situations when we're really flourishing, we're really succeeding in meeting our goals of living a life that is right for us, great for us, and healthy, that you are often acting in the opposite way of how you typify your personality. So we often are told about these personality traits that we have, like introvert, extrovert. Those sound familiar? And these all come from an old system of thinking about the idea of personality. And in fact, they have to do with the beginnings of the creation of the idea of personality. And we're not going to get to that today. But what I want to talk about is how when we're doing something different from how we normally think of ourselves, we're in situations of heightened flourishing. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let's do the worksheet, and I'll explain as I go along. So worksheet 12 has two sides to it. There are magenta noodles in the middle, separating them. On the left side, the instruction says, write ways in which you usually view yourself. And on the right side, on the other side of the magenta noodles, it says, write situations where you are the opposite. Okay, so it's helpful for me to think about these as those kind of standard personality traits or related ones that are out there. Like I said, like the introvert, extrovert. Sometimes I think about different versions that I have, but you'll see as we go along. Okay, so let's do this. I'll get a pen. All right. I'm going to choose, I'll just do blue today. Just blue. Blue, I didn't mean just blue. You're a very special color. Okay, so right ways in which you view yourself. So one way I view myself is as someone who is extroverted. So I'll say kind of I'm just going to write extroverted. And, that typically means, I like putting myself out there. However, thinking about situations where I'm the opposite, where I become very introverted, is helpful to me to find out situations where I feel like I'm acting differently from how I normally act, and therefore am in a specific situation. Could be good, could be bad, but it's always important to think about so you can determine what that situation is. So write situations where you're the opposite. Let's say when I'm working working on editing. Okay, so when I'm working on editing, that's a time, whether it's editing a text, editing a movie, editing an audio track, I am very much in the zone. And I'm very much like shut out from the world. And these are moments when I do very high level work. And if I were kind of extroverted and just having, kind of casual conversations with people or things like that are really wonderful and really great in certain circumstances. When I'm working on editing, I'm not an extrovert at all. I'm quite the opposite. I become very introverted, right? Or same thing with like working on a website or doing some digital stuff. I become very internal, right? Very introverted. So that switch in personality shows me when I'm in a zone and when I am focused on something, right? Okay. I also view myself as calm. I am a calm person. I know it's interesting. I'm not always extroverted in that sense. You can be calm and extroverted. I'm not hyped up when I'm extroverted. I talk a lot, obviously, but I'm not doing that in a way that's particularly, as I said, hyped up. So I am normally calm. Now, there are situations, I talked about this on an episode a while back, where I, am very animated, and that's the opposite of calm. Public speaking situations. I'm animated. When I see an injustice, I become the opposite of calm. Quite the opposite, right? This is where, in those situations, I'm going to put a box around them. I'm going to put V animated. I am very animated. Okay. So that's a situation where I'm flourishing because I am doing something that is essential to my own flourishing, where I'm speaking to a group of people or whether I see something that I think is an injustice and I can't help myself but become animated about what's going on. And that is very different from my normal baseline, very calm, as people who know me know that I'm a very even-keeled person most of the time. And that's how I view myself, as that. But when I think about situations where I'm the opposite, it's where things are going on that are where it's important that I'm animated. And that means that I'm in this place of flourishing, in the same way that I'm in a zone sometimes and turned inwards when I'm doing a task and doing the task well. So knowing when you act different means knowing when you're adapting to a situation. And what it means is that we are adaptable as human beings, which is wonderful. And I think this is my biggest issue with the kind of personality trait stuff that, that we always are talking about. Because when we look at things that quote unquote fit our personality, we're only really seeing one side of the coin. We're only seeing ourselves when we're just acting in a particular way in which we view ourselves, and that opposite way, which we act in that opposite way as well in certain circumstances. In fact, I find in circumstances when we are doing our highest level work, we don't think of that as being part of our personality. But it is. And it's important to realize this because otherwise our personality becomes a trap. Our personality becomes something where we keep on driving to the same us, right? The same self that we always drive to, and don't understand that that's not the self that we need to drive to have those moments when we're truly flourishing. So give worksheet 12 a try yourself. Write about ways in which you usually view yourself, and then write situations where you're the opposite. And I think you're going to find that those are situations where you're really flourishing. And this is not to say that those situations need to be happening every second. The point of this is that we adapt. We have baselines of the way we act, and then we have special situations where we act different. And these we alternate at times. And understanding that our personalities and our lives are variable and changeable and adaptable really celebrates our humanity together. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time on Life's Potluck Buffet.